Hey guys, so I wanted to go over with you guys today a little something called Bodywaves, and it was brought around by, I believe her name is Emily Greer, and I will post the link in the description below so you guys can actually see where these movements originated from, kind of hear the backstory behind them. But one of the things that I really like about the Bodywaves is the connection to the water. So we know that our bodies are made up of mostly water, and we know that water is always moving, and yet in our lives on a daily basis, we don't move. We're either sitting at a desk, or sitting and eating, or sitting and driving, or laying and sleeping. So what I like to do is just kind of bring me back to what I'm made of. What am I doing? What does my body need to do? So making these body waves is super fun. The downside, though, is that trying to teach this in a class is extremely hard. So some of you who have actually taken classes with me before have had the opportunity to, kind of see how I describe it in class when I have kind of like 30 seconds to explain what it is I'm trying to get you to do. You guys have also had the opportunity to see the videos that I've posted before of kind of like all the different kind of body wave movements that you can make. If not, I will also post the link for that video as well below. But today I just want to kind of get into how to find the body waves. A lot of times when I try to teach this in a class and I'm rapid fire, this is what I want you to do, I feel like a lot of it kind of gets lost in translation, and a lot of times people end up just copying what it is they see me do in an attempt to find what the movement is. And it's really not something that you can copy from someone else. It's really something that you're gonna kind of feel within you. So without further ado, let's get started. So we're gonna start with the very first one, which is kind of a breath-related body roll movement, and it's right in the stomach. So I'm gonna let you guys see my belly here. And you're really gonna think about just rolling the belly up and down. So maybe if I give you guys a side view. And then in the opposite direction. So you guys will notice there will always be one direction that will be easier. But as you guys can see, there's a little bit of movement going on in the belly, and you can roll them up, you can roll it down, but that's the first one. And really what you're doing is you're kind of isolating the lower portion, and then you're isolating the upper portion as you contract, and you're kind of just doing in opposites. And then just trying to make that opposite kind of flow. So you could literally just do suck in the bottom, suck in the top, suck in the bottom, suck in the top. But then if you're really kind of like putting it all together and trying to make it cyclical, that's when you get that wave-like movement. So that is one of the most beginner waves, and the first way that I introduce body waves into a yoga practice. So for those of you who have had me call that out at any point during a class, especially I do it in the beginning of the class normally, in beginner classes where I'm doing body waves. If you've heard me talk about that before, that is specifically what I'm talking about. So if you want to practice at home, you can practice just tightening up the lower half of the abdomen, sucking that in, and then releasing it and contracting that upper part of the abdomen. Okay, and then you just kind of keep doing that over and over again until you can kind of make it blow. So the next one is actually doing a whole body wave. So whole body wave is really going to be from your fingertips to your toes. We are going to start really small and then let our movements get bigger here. So I'm actually getting pretty hot. Whew. So we're going to get started in a child's pose. And I really want you to connect to your breath here. You're going to let your inhales and exhales become as long as you can make them, controlled in and out. we'll start movement. On your next inhale, you're going to go ahead and arch your back. Let yourself come forward as if you were moving right into a cow. From cow, go ahead and round your back through cat and bring it back down to child's. Go ahead and arch the back, deep breath in, coming up through a cat. Cow. Rounding the back, coming back down to child's. Arching the back, coming up. Rounding the back, coming down. So go ahead and continue doing this, making it as fluid as you can, really trying to make like one big circle with your movements, and let your spine move with it. Let your breath move with it. And let yourself come right back down to the child's one more time. Take a breath. We're going to go ahead and switch this up. So this time as you come up, take a deep breath in, round the back. Go ahead and arch the back as you take it back to child's. Breath in, round the back, coming up to cat. Arching the back, coming back to child's. And again, let your movements continue at your pace. Connecting the breath and the movement. And let yourself come back to that child's. So both of those right there are very simplistic ways to begin. One of the ways that I typically continue is I will take the, I will come up to the tabletop position in either my arched back or my rounded back, and then I'll almost like dive down into a cobra or an up dog. So that movement can literally be translated into a million different scenarios. You really just kind of want to flow with it, see what flows for you, see what works for you. Real quick, I'll demonstrate what I typically do so that those of you who do take the classes can come in and know what I'm trying to say. So starting in your child, you'll take a deep breath in, rounding the back, coming up. From this high tabletop in the cat-like back, you're going to go ahead and dive forward with your heads. Bring yourself forwards. Let the hips drop. Deep breath in. Arch the back. Cobra. Cobra comes back down. Hips come up. Back begins to round. And bring it all the way back down to child's. So those are some of the ways, and of course the rounding and the arching of the back, you can go ahead and do it whatever pace works for you, whatever's going to work with your flow. So that's the normal one I'll begin with. I do suggest that when you practice these child's and tabletop ones, make sure that you are on a carpeted surface, or if you have a carpet, or if you want to double up your mat, just go ahead and fold it over itself. Your knees will hurt if you are on a hard surface for too long doing that kind of stuff. So that's just my tip on that. So the last one that I like to do in the body waves is a full body wave in an up or in a down dog position. So from down dog, you can do the same thing as we just did in the tabletop. You can go from a down dog, scoop forwards into that up dog, bring it back down into that down dog. kind of almost like a vinyasa style when you're doing like a sun salutation. Or you can keep the movement a little bit more concentrated and focused directly on the spine. So this is one that I typically teach in classes. So you'll go right to your downward facing dog. Give yourself a moment to walk it out real quick if you haven't been on the mat already today. Let yourself really settle into this downward dog because we're going to be moving around in it, and I want you to feel nice and comfortable. All right, so once you've pedaled out the heels or whatever you need to do to really settle in here, you're going to go ahead and lift those heels up off the floor. Go ahead and bend the knees. This is going to give you a nice sturdy base. You're no longer worried about the stretching in your legs, and you can really focus on the upper part of the spine. So I'm going to walk my hands just a little bit forward here. You really want to make sure you've got some opening in your shoulders because you're going to want to be able to move there. All right, so what we're doing here is we're thinking of our spine as a wave. So you can start one of two ways. You can start at the head or you can start at the tail. We're going to start at the head. Lift your head up. Go ahead and arch the back. And then round the back. Head comes up. So what you're doing here is you're letting your shoulders, your knees, and your hips move your spine so that starting with the head coming up, the rest of the spine will simply follow suit in a wave-like fashion. So again, there's always going to be one that's going to be easier, whether it's starting with the head, starting with the tail. For me, it's starting with the tail. So that one right there is extremely hard for me, but I wanted to do that so that you don't have a picture-perfect idea of what this should look like. This is one that's kind of hard to imagine. You're upside down, so you're already kind of disoriented. So on top of it, you're doing a movement that you probably haven't done before in your life. So it's new to you, it's not familiar, you're going to feel a little silly doing it. Go for it. Keep being silly. It's that silliness, it's that creativity that's going to come from the silliness that's really going to help you find your body waves. So real quick, we're going to go ahead and do that again, this time starting from the tail. Go ahead and get in that downward dog, walk out the heels if you need to, settle in. Go ahead and lift the heels up, bending the knees. Shoulders are nice and open. This time we're going to start from the tail. So tail comes up and then rounds all the way down back to the head. My goodness, it's hot in here today. So, those are the body waves. You can literally do body waves in any way that you'd like. I'm sure most of you know the arm, this little, but you can literally make body waves however you want, whether you're doing it with your stomach, with your arms, whether you're doing it in downward dog, whether you're doing it with yoga or not. Just being able to give yourself like that kind of wave-like movement is really just going to help you just get your body moving the way it should be and help you feel a little bit better. And for those of you who come to my classes, now you'll have a little bit better understanding of what I'm talking about when I talk about body rolls and body waves. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys, and I hope to see you guys next time.